Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, Jo Rawbone. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 280, Public Speaking, the Introvert Way. I've lost count of the number of times I've heard people say to me, I could never do your job speaking in front of groups. I'm far too much of an introvert for that. And there, in a nutshell, is one of the most restrictive and destructive myths about introversion, that as introverts we're not cut out to be public speakers. That myth rests on a belief that in order to be a good speaker we must be loud, outgoing and enjoy the limelight. Allow me to let you into a secret. Those who do it for the glory and enjoy the limelight rather too much are often the least effective speakers because it's all about them. If you continue to believe that myth, you're at risk of your quieter, more thoughtful voice and input being sidelined. This robs workplaces, families and communities of the considered, reflective and calm contributions that we bring to the conversation, the meeting, the dais, the stage or the presentation. In spite of me exploring the power of your voice back in episode 257, how and indeed if we use our voice has been on my mind a lot recently and for a number of reasons. In part, it's because August's Dropping Pebbles in the Pond show will be featuring the uber-talented singer and vocal coach Clinton Jordan, and one of my coaching clients who wants to develop her presenting skills, and also because the deep resonance I found in my own voice whilst away on retreat recently. One thing I want to make clear early on in this episode is that I know just how tough finding, owning and using your voice can be for so many introverts who have, for one reason or another, ended up feeling not enough. So this episode is not about how to deliver a presentation. I deliver intensive trainings for that. No. This is what Patsy Rodenberg calls our right to speak. We all, and I do mean all, have that right, but some of us are yet to learn or to remember how to exercise that right. It's not helped by the fact that we're presented with entertainers prancing around on TikTok, YouTube and other platforms who seem to perpetuate the myth that when we speak we need to be funny, lively, exuberant, flamboyant and insincere. That is not the way of many introverts, especially flourishing introverts. It is, though, part of the systemic and enduring bias that tells us that leaders need to be loud and presenters need to focus on performance over substance. Actually, they both matter, and the tales I could tell having worked with hundreds of speakers during my time as a leadership coach and trainer. When we deny ourselves the fullest expression of our voice, we're denying a key part of who we are. So let's dig a little deeper into our right to speak. I'd like to start by reminding us all that using our voice is our birthright, not a privilege only extended to the confident or the extraverted. I know that many people become disconnected from their voice due to trauma, social conditioning, or internalized judgment. This means that regaining access to your voice is a powerful and transformational act of personal reclamation. If it helps, think of it as an act of purposeful rebellion. Part of the reclamation is to remember the connection your voice has to your breath, your body, and your emotions. It's an integral part of your identity. Many of us know we are effective communicators, especially one-to-one or in small groups. We already know that aspect of our personal agency. I wrote about the importance of personal agency recently in my Flourishing Nudge LinkedIn newsletter. I'll make sure the link is in the description. It's not unusual for we introverts to need to work on owning our identity and using our agency, which includes using your voice publicly. This is work I take very seriously, and as you might imagine, we focus on it throughout the frustrated to flourishing journey I take my clients on. The reality is, public speaking is a learned skill, not an inherited trait. A few years ago, I had a client, let's call her Jade, who was extremely nervous about public speaking, and yet she knew that in order to progress her chosen career, she needed to become more competent using this skill. She had, as many do, performance anxiety and a fear of judgment mixed with perfectionism about saying the wrong thing. This was compounded by negative experiences from her past, resulting in learned inhibition and a lack of psychological safety. We worked together on these things during a course and during one-to-one coaching, and the changes in her confidence and abilities was dramatic. I saw her deliver at a conference recently, and she delivered a natural, conversational and professional presentation, and there was no trace of her previous lack of confidence. So let me say again that the good news is that public speaking is a learned skill. But as with many skills, it's one you really have to want to develop. And speaking publicly isn't just about delivering a keynote at a conference. It can be guesting on a podcast, making your thoughtful contribution in a meeting, sharing an update with your team, or leaving a voice memo for someone that changes someone's thinking, or even reading to children. The mere thought of many of those scenarios can initiate stress and anxiety to the point where someone feels they will be unable to speak in a given situation. I've experienced that in the past, and many of my clients have too. So let me share some of the simple strategies and techniques that may get you past the anxiety. They do have a natural order to follow, especially if you're starting from scratch. Number 1, start by focusing on the breath to calm the nervous system. When we get anxious, we take shallow breaths into the upper chest. Now is the time to breathe long and slow down into the belly. Number 2, once you feel able to calm yourself about the situation, start with asynchronous formats like a podcast or a pre-recorded video. You don't have to watch or listen back initially, just get used to the speaking. Number 3, then prepare a selection of mini talks, something you really care about and you know well, so you can practice delivering them to some trusted peers or friends. You're not necessarily looking for feedback at this stage, just to have the experience of an audience listening to you. Number 4, now you're ready for something that many introverts struggle with, hearing your own voice. It's time to listen back to something you recorded so you can get used to the sound of your voice. This may take some time, I know it did for me, but persevere. It's part of your identity after all, so listen with kind ears. Number 5, once you're more used to the sound of your voice, listen to hear what you might do differently. Many of us speak too quickly in an attempt to get it over with. That doesn't help your listener. So notice where you could slow down and use an effective pause. Punctuate your speech as you would a piece of written work. Think commas, full stops and new paragraphs. Number 6, Then it's time to watch a recording of yourself delivering one of the mini talks. Again, watch with kind eyes. We naturally see the things that we don't like about ourselves first. So set yourself an objective to find at least 3 things you do like about what you see. Great public speakers structure their content clearly, introduce variety into their voice, and use congruent body language. We do all of these naturally when we're talking to those we trust, so you already know how to do this. Number 7, don't compare yourself with other speakers. You're aiming to be the most authentic you when you speak publicly, not a poor imitation of someone else, especially not an over-the-top extrovert. This is about you developing your own calm, measured, authentic style. As you work through these 7 steps, and I do suggest you do them in order, you may find that you need to keep your inner critic at bay. Hence my recommendation to have kind ears and kind eyes. Develop a few affirmations to counter the hand grenades that your inner critic may lob in from time to time. Here are a few I've used in the past to get you started. My message matters more to my audience than my perfectionism. Measured delivery enables my audience to absorb what I'm saying. Great speakers use vocal variety, not loud hailers. Because this can be quite a steep and rocky learning curve, I encourage you to get really clear about how you and those around you will benefit from hearing your messages more often. Maybe it's about those you lead witnessing you as an advocate for change. Maybe it's about you modelling to the youngsters in your life that every voice matters and that it's our right after all. Maybe it's about those in positions of authority recognising you as the leader with more potential who is now ready to make their move. Remember, your voice is an integral part of your identity. So if you're not using it effectively, the world doesn't get to experience the complete you. And you don't have to be extroverted to be an effective speaker. You and your voice deserve space at the table and in the room. You speaking up is an act of service, not of self-promotion. The world is a richer place when we introverts share our truth. So, set the intention to work through those 7 steps, starting small and staying safe. From experience, I know that, just like Jade, it won't be long before you feel your voice bubbling up, leaving you no other option than to speak your truth with a calm yet undeniable presence. If you find you stumble early on in the 7 steps, check your self-limiting beliefs and consider taking the Flip Your Limiting Beliefs self-paced course. My friend, the world is poorer when we introverts self-silence for fear of what others may think. The cages we build around ourselves using anxiety, fear, and social conditioning as the material for the bars of that cage don't just constrain our freedom of expression. They cause us to play small and forego our right to a fulfilled life. Take this as a big old nudge to loosen those vocal cords and let the world hear what we have to say. Our voice doesn't need to be loud. It needs to be used effectively. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.